Hi everyone, and welcome to Leaf Rants. The Toronto Maple Leafs were playing against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they lose 3-2. Not in overtime. They just lose, like flat out lose. So that kind of sucks when your favorite team loses, and mine did. So whatever. Uh, Going into these past couple games, the Leafs won the 2 games before Sweden and the 2 games in Sweden, which looked very promising for them. 4 game winning streak, and then you roll into Chicago and you blow a 3-1 lead and lose in overtime. Pick up a point there, and then you go against Pittsburgh, who's another team who isn't in the playoffs, and you lose again. So you get 1 out of 4 possible points against uh, 2 teams that are outside of the playoffs that yeah, like I don't really know what else to say. That's what happened. You know what I mean? Like you can't do that. Like you can't. That's not how this team should work, but it is, and that's what they do, and it's kind of confusing, and I don't really know what to say about it. Um, the Leafs kind of gave up halfway through this game. Like I didn't watch it. I wasn't here, but I watched parts of the game, and the first half of the game was kind of a dumpster fire in your own D zone. And Brad, you're gonna want to make a couple of changes there now, especially with John Klingberg on LTIR, and you can actually afford stuff. But yeah, that happens, and they just kind of gave up halfway through the game, from what I saw in the third period. John Tavares was mauled in the third period, and Austin Matthews' shot went off the crossbar. Watched that happen. You can't do that. You can't do that. And nothing was called. Nothing happened. Boop. That was it. All right. Tyler Bertuzzi, who was demoted off of the first line, gets promoted to the. He actually got promoted to the first line. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, he got kicked off the Matthews Marner line. He got promoted to the first line, beside Tavares and Nylander. Yeah. This was his best game. Everything I've ever said about him, yeah, I said it. I won't deny that. I did say it, but you can throw that in the garbage now. And yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi is here. um, yeah, Matthews and Marner haven't been good enough, but I'll get into that in a minute. I think Joseph Woll did really well at tracking the puck. He looked good. He looked calm, composed. He's the starter. This is his net. I know he's going to split it with Samsonov, but this next season is Joseph Woll's net. And it's going to need to be because he doesn't make a lot of money, and William Nylander is going to have a big contract next season because he's going to be on the Leafs. In the second period, the Leafs couldn't make a pass if their life depended on it. If they wanted a good clean tape to tape pass, I don't think they could do it. Their passing was bad in the second period, and Wall was good. And Wall might have been one of their best players. So Bertuzzi scores the first one. Nyes gets the second one for the Leafs. They're up 2-1 here. I forget who scored for Pittsburgh. And can you guess who scored to tie it 2-2 for Pittsburgh? Can you guess who? Can you? You really only have 2 guesses, but it should be one. If you said Zahorna, then like okay, I can see how you'd get that. It's Noel Acciari, who Dubas took with him, as well as Jason Spezza, who I loved being on this Leafs team. But yeah, and Acciari ties it, and then right upstairs on Joseph Woll, and then Carlson gets the last goal against Woll, and it's kind of a shot from the point that if you're mad at Woll for this, what the hell are you talking about? Joseph Woll has like 800 people in front of the net. He cannot see this puck, and it goes by him. You know, that's one of those kind of shit happens plays. Like, you can't really blame Joseph Woll too much on that. He doesn't see the puck. Now we'll kind of get into the Matthews Marner stuff. Let's see how long is this video so far. 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll get into the Matthews Marner stuff. So, the Leafs have 5 regulation wins this season. 5 regulation wins. They have more wins, but they're not in regulation. And that's not good. That's really not good. And, Matthews, who started the season amazing, and I hate to say this because if you can't tell, this guy, I have his jersey on. I have a St. Pat's jersey here that I wore to a game last year, and I got it signed by players, like vintage, old, alumni players from the Leafs. And this signed Matthews jersey over here, he is my favorite player. And I know he has 14 goals in 18 games. And it's going to sound all whatever. He has not been good the past. Not good enough the past 6 games. And Mitch Marner hasn't been good enough this season. And it's not because they haven't been good, but they haven't lived up to their expectations. And it's hard to say that with Matthews because he was red hot at the beginning of the season, but he's really died down. And Marner has had some red hot games, but when he's not red hot, he's just kind of meh. And I love Mitch Marner, and he'll figure it out. And William Nylander has been the best player on this team so far. Best player. Austin Matthews is the best player on this team. Mitch Marner is the second best on this team. Nylander's third, Tavares is fourth, and Riley is fifth. And that is the lineup. That's the order of the top 5 players on the Leafs, and that's why they're the core 5. And the core 4 takes up the top 4 slots. And everyone's talking about how, hey, it can't be the core 4 because it has to be a whole lineup. But when the core 4, I'll say core 5 here because Morgan Riley, take up 50%, around 50% of your cap, they have to be good. They have to be good. And I said it earlier that this is the best I've seen the core 5 playing at a single time. Sorry for saying core 4. It kind of rolls off the tongue. I'm used to it. The core 5, this has been the best I've seen them all playing at the same time, even when Mitch was slow. But since then, Matthews has slowed down. Marner hasn't been good enough. And your bottom 3 players of the core 5 have taken a step over them. And just like that, your second line becomes your first line. Matthew Knies has been the best offensive player on that first line beside Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. Defensively, they've been better. Like, they're good. They're good defensively. They're good offensively. I know they are. But I don't know. I'd like to see Willie on that first line, but also you don't want to break up what that second line has been doing. I think people are getting too used to Matthews being the shooty guy and Marner being the passy guy. Where if you have Willie, he's a passy shooty guy. And Matthews is still a shooty guy, but you have a passy shooty guy that maybe makes you question it a bit more. And then with the second line, you have Marner, who's the passy guy, beside John Tavares, who's a shooty passy guy. He's probably going to shoot first, but he is kind of a passy guy. And then you kind of figure out those lines. It sucks because at the beginning of the season, we were talking about how all the Leafs have is top 6 scoring. And now they don't have top 6 scoring, even though in this game, 2 players from the top 6 scored. frustrating. Matthews and Marner were held pointless again for like the 6th time this season. It's frustrating. It really is. God, I don't want to see this team like this. They need a defenseman. I think you might want to trade for a 4th-line winger. But they need a defenseman. And like it's November. It's the end of November. It's almost December. I mean, January is when you really want to step it up because it's like, okay, it's serious now. It's not, yeah, we're coming back from Sweden. Had a couple of bad games. I think you give Matthews, Marner. If you give them the next game and they don't perform, that's their last game together for a while at least. And you try Willie there. Try Marner with Tavares. I don't know what you do. I think Marner's in his own head too much right now. And that sucks to see. But anyways, I'll kind of wrap up the video here because it's been kind of long. But oh yeah, also the Leafs defense was terrible in that game. Like the defense was bad. So yeah, Brad, get on the phone. But anyways, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, then clicking like would be great. If you really liked it, then I mean, I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe. So thank you very much. This game was Dubas' revenge.